Something I used to take for granted back when I bought all of my yarn from the store was the sheer amount of time that it takes to process this unwashed fleece straight from the sheep's back and turn it into yarn. I'm going to show you the 3 major steps that you have to go through to take your unwashed wool and turn it into yarn. The very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take as much of your dirty fleece wool and you're going to stick it into your dirty fleece wool pot. And then you're gonna fill it up with water and put a nice amount of Dawn dishwashing soap in there with it as well. And then I just put it on the stove and let the water heat to a boil. And then once the water is heated to a boil, so this is what it looks like. And then I'm just going to leave it out here to dry for a couple days. Luckily, most of this black wool is ready, so we're just gonna go ahead and take that and move on to step 2. The second step from taking wool to yarn is you take your dried wool and then you're gonna take these brushes and you're basically gonna scrape them together, which brushes the wool out. Make sure that all of the little pieces of wool are going in the same direction, which is very, very, very helpful when you go to spin it. This is definitely the least fun part of spinning, and it's also very tedious sometimes. But depending on the type of wool that you're using, you don't actually have to card it that much. This wool comes from one of my mother's sheep, which is half Shetland and half who knows what, but it is incredibly soft. So Shetland can be very, very tangled and be very annoying to work with, but this wool is incredibly soft. So it has the dense thickness that's nice from the Shetland, but it's also incredibly soft, so it doesn't take very long to card, and it's also just really nice and soft, which generally people think of wool, they think of the scratchy wool. For reference, that wool that I was washing earlier was Lincolnshire wool, and this is what some carded Lincolnshire looks like. So I just spent about an hour and a half carding up all of this wool, and now it is finally time to spin it. Once the yarn has been spun, there's still a couple steps, so I'm winding the yarn. Once you've wound all of the yarn onto this thing, you just kind of pull it off and stretch it out in your arms and just start twisting. Twist and twist until it's really tight. And just like that, your yarn is finished. So next time you're working on your favorite knitting or crocheting project, I want you to take a second and think about how much time went into just making the yarn.